The SCP Foundation is an organization dedicated to securing, containing, and protecting anomalous objects, entities, and phenomena. These anomalies defy scientific understanding and often pose a threat to normalcy, human life, and reality. The Foundation operates with a global network of facilities known as sites, where anomalies are housed and studied. Each anomaly is assigned an SCP designation and cataloged in the Foundation's database. SCPs range from harmless curiosities to world-ending threats, and their containment protocols vary accordingly. The Foundation employs a diverse array of personnel, including scientists, researchers, agents, and security personnel, to carry out its mission, that being to secure, contain, and protect by any means necessary. But wait, it appears there's one more staff member than usual. Normally the guards were actually meant to strictly check each member entering the facility, but it appears they neglected their duties. We'll have to terminate them later. Okay, so let's see who this intruder is. Best case scenario, they're a moronic tourist. Worst case, they're here to destroy or free the SCPs. Wait, that's Gojo Satoru. The Foundation has been very aware of the existence of curses and sorcerers, but who would think the strongest among them would be here? But why? I wish I could ask it myself, but unfortunately, there's been a containment breach of exactly 6 of our SCPs, so we can't exactly deal with them with Gojo here. One wrong move, and he will use Hollow Purple to vaporize the entire staff and half the SCPs. Luckily, the walls are made of material built to stop a nuke, so we can't exactly destroy the facility right away. All we can do is observe further. Who knows, maybe Gojo can finally rid us of SCP-96. The O5 Council will be furious, but a man can dream. So Gojo is in the facility, and so far, it's pretty empty. There's just white hallways upon white hallways, with nothing to really see. There's the occasional weird and out-of-place object in an empty room, which is strange, but not worth investigating. However, after a long while, he hears something behind a steel metal door. It sounds like scraping stone. Gojo thinks to himself that there must be someone inside, and opens the door. He notices no one. There's nothing here but a strange peanut-shaped statue covered in feces and other disgusting liquids. I guess it's time to move on. Gojo's head is rotated 180 degrees to the left. He has no time to process what just happened, and he's losing consciousness fast. His 6 eyes allowed him to process what was happening to him a little faster than your average man. And with his quick thinking, Gojo used reverse curse technique to fix his broken neck, and does a 180-degree turn and takes a couple steps back. It's the stone statue from earlier, but it moved at incredible speeds, no less. Even his 6 eyes can't discern what the deal is with his poopy peanut. While Gojo thinks about his next move, you might be thinking, just how exactly did the statue bypass infinity? Well, it simply did it with its otherworldly speed. You see, the infinity may be passive and powerful, but it's ridiculous to say that it can stop all forms of attack, no matter the speed, as we've seen with the sure hit of a domain, which bypasses the barrier by teleporting onto his body rather than traveling towards him. SCP-173, at first glance, may give off the impression that it moves physically, but there's evidence that it doesn't. First of all, we have to think about the fact that it moves instantly with every blink of one's eye, and even in the in-between frames of a camera. You might think that it's just stupidly fast, but there doesn't seem to be any form of acceleration with its movements. It doesn't cause any sound, air disturbance, friction, or momentum. Basically anything that indicates that it moved. It's almost like it can outright teleport. There's no definitive speed for the SCP, but theoretically, it could function like a sure hit of a domain. With its borderline teleportation, it could simply ignore the Infinity's activation and snap Gojo's neck. But let's pump the brakes back and assume it can't bypass Infinity. Well, the story would still lead us to the same place. It tries to kill Gojo, but failed. Now Gojo is observing it from a distance. At this point, he speculates on its cursing. Well, I guess that's the end. In the timeline where 173 can bypass Infinity, it used the opportunity of Gojo blinking to snap his neck. Since at this point, Gojo would not have fully understood its ability. However, in the timeline where it can't bypass Infinity, Gojo would soon realize how the SCP worked, and as long as he maintained eye contact, he was safe. With this in mind, he has two options: move on to a different room while maintaining eye contact, or destroy it with red or blue. It wouldn't be too difficult to escape it, but the second strategy is Gojo's most likely course of action. SCP-173 has easily been destroyed using a sledgehammer or highly corrosive acid. It is a stone statue after all, so the simple use of blue or red should be enough to destroy it, allowing Gojo to move on. But again, it's very possible that his first initial encounter could be his last. Gojo, after surviving his encounter in the second timeline, will continue to walk through the facility until he stumbles upon a man, the first sign of human life in a while.
Greetings. We rarely get visitors down here.
At least, he thinks he's human. There's something rather odd about them. Anyways, the man in the Plague Doctor outfit starts to talk to Gojo. He's refined in the way he speaks, and is clearly very intelligent. Gojo asks him a way out of the facility, but the man says,
I can see you're not well. The sickness has taken hold of you.
Gojo's confused by this statement.
Fear not, I'm not trying to harm you.
Maybe that weird statue infected him somehow, but his reverse curse technique and Limitless should have taken care of such a thing. Despite their polite nature, Gojo has to decline. After all, you can't really trust anything in this place. However, the man is very clearly bothered and rather angry about Gojo's answer.
Stop resisting. I'm here to cure you.
His calm demeanor turns into one of rage, claiming that Gojo is filled with pestilence and must be cured. He lunges at Gojo, but is unable to bypass the Infinity. Gojo finds this person strange, but also amusing. Whatever, clearly he's not very cooperative. Gojo crushes his limbs with a precise manipulation of blue, and goes on his way. The man Gojo just encountered was SCP-049, a highly intelligent SCP capable of human speech. Gojo should be fortunate that he had his Infinity up, because he likely would have perished if 049 managed to touch him. As you see, the SCP can cause all bodily functions of the body to instantly shut down upon contact with its victim's skin. With an ability like this, it's virtually useless against Gojo's Infinity. But after a couple minutes of walking, he hears something. It sounds like crying. Gojo opens the door and notices a man at the very corner of a room. They stand at approximately 2.38 meters tall, presenting minimal muscle mass and indications of malnutrition. Despite Gojo knowing how dangerous this place has been so far, a bit of compassion seeps through, and he tries to talk to it. Although they don't at all respond or show any reaction to its existence. It's almost like it's devoid of any higher cognitive functions. However, out of nowhere, 96 jerks his head towards Gojo, and the two make eye contact for the first time. SCP-096 undergoes a dramatic change in behavior upon direct or indirect visual contact with its face, eliciting intense emotional distress, reacting with frantic gestures, including covering its face while emitting distressed vocalizations. SCP-96 enters an agitated state, lasting approximately 1 to 2 minutes. It then propels itself towards whoever saw its face at high speeds. In this case, would be Gojo. Recorded speeds range from 35 kilometers per hour to sometimes faster than lightning. It all depends on SCP-096's distance to its victim. No known obstacles impede 096's advance as it scales over, tanks, and destroys anything in its path, not caring if they're living or dead. SCP-096 proceeds to terminate them, leaving no trace in 100% of documented cases. Against Gojo, 96 would of course have no way of bypassing infinity. It would try to attack him for a lengthy amount of time, but with his abilities, it's basically like punching air. But despite this, Gojo would still be unable to hurt 096 either, due to his indestructible bones, capable of tanking machine gun fire, barrages of missiles, and almost everything known to man. Unlimited Void will be a temporary solution, as the SCP would eventually recover and continue its pursuit. However, the infinite distance between them would theoretically mean the 096 would infinitely accelerate towards Gojo, and the object with the size and mass of 096 moving at this speed would generate so much energy that the Earth itself will likely explode. So it doesn't matter if Gojo has infinity, he isn't surviving in the vacuum of space. However, if you don't believe in the idea that 096 can accelerate infinitely, then the most likely option Gojo has is to just allow SCP-096 to chase him forever, never being able to reach him. Gojo is honestly fed up with all these hostile entities, and now he's ready to leave as soon as possible. There's 2 pathways, each with a door at the end. However, one of these doors looks different from the others. It's oozing this strange, brownish black liquid that destroys part of the door. The other door looks perfectly normal. Gojo has 2 options. Go left through the safer door, or go right and trust in his abilities. Well, in one scenario, let's say he goes down the right door. Gojo spots in the corner what looks to be an old man. He's almost completely naked. His skin is a disgusting brown color. He doesn't speak a word at him. At this point, Gojo knows not to trust anything he encounters, so he attempts to destroy them as soon as possible. But before he activates blue or red, he suddenly falls through the floor. What Gojo just encountered was SCP-106, and they just used their abilities to turn the floor into a gateway into the dimension. Limited observations of this pocket dimension has shown it to be composed mostly of halls and rooms. It's dark and devoid of any life, only filled with the decaying corpses of previous victims. If Gojo were to end up here, he would have no way to escape, as this dimension exists outside the borders of our reality. There have been observed cases of individuals escaping. That was only because the SCP allowed them to, just so he could hunt them again. If the SCP made the mistake of doing this, Gojo could easily use the opportunity to stun or instantly kill the SCP with a number of his abilities. However, the SCP doesn't let him out, then Gojo would slowly starve to death. And yes, even the Honored One has basic human needs. Cutting back to another world, Gojo has decided to go left, and narrowly avoided a potentially fatal battle. At this point, maybe Gojo should just kill everything on sight, regardless of if it can talk or not. Pretty much everything here has been hostile, and even with his infinity, He's beginning to feel on edge. As he's beginning to despair, something rubs against his leg. He isn't entirely sure how anything got past his infinity. He looks down, ready to strike, when he sees it. A little orange blob with beady black eyes. Somehow, his infinity didn't deem it a threat. But Gojo doesn't feel threatened either. He's almost happy to see it, as if it was an old friend. A strange creature begins to climb Gojo's shoulder, and he doesn't shake it off. He feels like no matter what happens, everything will be okay. The creature climbs off Gojo's shoulder and goes about its day. Gojo's confidence returns as a result, and he's now ready to face the final threat of the day, the one blocking his exit to freedom. SCP-682, the indestructible lizard, known for causing chaos throughout many regions of the world. He's been speculated to be the offspring of the Scarlet King, the serpent of the Garden of Eden, maybe even a prehistoric creature that's been here since the beginning of life. Whatever it is, one thing's for sure. There's damn near nothing that can hurt this thing, and Gojo may have just met his match. At first glance, Gojo isn't too alarmed. It's pretty much just an overgrown lizard. He crushes it with rubble, but 682 remains unscathed. Gojo tries to crush it with blue, and it does seem to work a little, as 682 jolts in pain. But again, they regain their form and there's zero visible injuries. At this point, Gojo likely thinks that he's using some form of healing, so he decides to shoot out a beam of red, a high output. The orb blows 682 into pieces. However, 682 regenerates from this attack despite being tiny pieces of flesh. He resorts to using purple to erase the beast for good. But somehow, it comes back from being completely erased. The only thing Gojo can do now is use his domain expansion.
領域展開無料空所
Now that his mind is incapacitated, he can quickly move in and... yeah, it appears 682 not only adapted to Infinite Void, but the entire Limitless curse technique. That's just his overall nature. It can adapt to anything you throw at it, no matter its level of power. After all, it's come back from being erased, eaten, incinerated, frozen, everything you can possibly think of. Nothing in Gojo's arsenal has any hope of ever hurting 682. Even his physical punches and kicks will be shrugged off, as 682 has often taken tank shells, bullets, and even nukes. Worse yet, this adaptation now means that the lizard can bypass the infinity and kill Gojo if he makes one wrong move. Gojo has no choice. Despite his ego, he cannot afford to die or be pushed back further into the facility. With quick thinking, Gojo dodges 682's powerful bite and makes a beeline for the exit. 682 attempts to catch up with Gojo, but Gojo continues to dodge their strikes. Gojo opens the exit door and manages to make it outside the facility. 682, for whatever reason, stopped chasing him, but Gojo doesn't really care. He's just proud to have made it out. Now, can Gojo survive the SCP Foundation? Yeah, no. I had to do a lot of insane mental gymnastics just to justify Gojo surviving. I limited this experiment to just 6 SCPs instead of the thousands within the facility. In reality, Gojo would have died the second he stepped foot in the facility, especially during a containment breach. This whole thing was just a little experiment. But luckily for us, we have reports of other supernatural intruders around the world, facing off against a more diverse set of SCPs. So, if you want to go and observe that too, just let me know in the chat logs. Anyways, I'm also now learning that one of you was the guard who let Gojo in the first place. I'm not mad, but you know, management asked me to show you this photo. Not sure what it's about, but they seem to agree that's sufficient punishment. You know, whatever. See you later.